It's your guy D Fair. I've been gone for a minute. Nothing happened. It's just that I've been trying to get a property sold before December the 31st, so I had to do some renovations. Not me personally, contractors. And you know, when you're doing things like that, you got to stay on top of that, and you cannot sleep on anybody. But it's the same old, same old. Your guy retired from the Metropolitan Police Department 2019, did 1990 to 2019, 29 years straight of service on the streets. Nothing against any of my administrative people, but spend my times on the street. A lot of experiences. Going to be covering various topics. There's a lot going on with the shutdown. So I'm back. I'm going to be doing videos a little more often, touching on a range of topics. Again, this is my opinions. This is my basically commentary. Don't take this as legal advice. It's just a lot of these things I'll say is based on experiences. Take it for what it's worth. You know, obviously some things I'm going to say you're going to disagree. You're welcome to disagree. That's normal. I guess the topic I'm going to talk about today, since today is Thursday and tomorrow is Friday, Sean Combs, Puff Daddy, Brother Love, or whatever he calls himself, will be sentenced tomorrow. It's Friday. He's unfortunately in a predicament. They're getting him basically trying to hit him with the RICO. It's not really RICO, but you know, the government and the system sometimes can manipulate the charges and turn something into something that is really not. This man wasn't really transporting women across state lines for prostitution. It's pretty obvious that he had money and things like that. So that's not the issue. I mean, he did some moral things that were obviously some things from a moral aspect that just didn't sit well with a lot of people, and that's understandable. However, beating on Cassie like he did, that's domestic violence. That is a crime all day, all night, no matter whether you got a daughter or not. That's a problem. I do have a daughter, so of course I saw that in a whole nother manner. If that was my daughter, I would probably be sitting in prison right now. You know, it's hard to say what you'll do in a situation like that until it's your daughter getting beat like that and throwing stuff at her and all that. On the same note, I don't like to victimize the victim. You have a lot of people saying that Cassie put herself in that position, and to a certain degree she did put herself in that position. However, you can't just beat the hell out of a woman or anyone and think that it's not going to be consequences. Obviously, he has money. He's been doing this for a long time. When you have that kind of money, a lot of people cater to you. I've seen it done with a lot of entertainers that I've worked with throughout my career with the Metropolitan Police Department. You'd be surprised at some of the stuff that goes on. Then again, you wouldn't. On the same note, this is a situation where they're really trying to get in with the Mann Act. That's something that was derived from slavery. You can look it up. I won't even go into the details on that. You know, it's also based on, you know, slavery and things like that. It's very detailed if you look it up, but he put himself in that position when it all boils down to it. I mean, a lot of these situations, when you see things like that, they're self-inflicted. Obviously, he's going to be treated a little differently because he has money. He's flamboyant, and sometimes that's frowned upon in the criminal justice system, you know. So to hold him this long without allowing him to go back and forth, I just saw on the news today a gentleman, custodian, I think this was in Maryland, charged with touching females and I guess talking about the size of his genitalia or whatever, you know, penis, however you want to classify. He was released, you know, on his own recognizance. Now, come on now. You allegedly touched females and you allegedly made some sexual conversations with these young girls. I mean, these girls are probably in most cases young enough to be his daughter. I do know that a lot of these young girls don't look like young girls. They, based on what they're eating and the food, they develop extremely quick. And still, regardless of how they develop, you're a whole grown man. These are kids. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times, and we all know as men and women, temptation is a lot of times undefeated. You know what I'm saying? You know, it happens. You know what I'm saying? The mind, the body is weak. The mind sometimes falls as well. But this is a situation where he's facing an uphill battle. I mean, they held this man, and they really a lot of charges that don't fit. I mean, come on now. They interviewed so many people, and it was a money grab. A lot of people just trying to jump on the bandwagon. I think she got $30 million in reference to Cassie. However, she testified that she doesn't feel safe. She wants him held. Okay, look, you got the 30 million. You got the payday. You started dealing with, I think, the guy that Sean Combs assigned to train. You start dealing with him. So I mean, from a moral aspect, that's kind of cruddy and messed up in itself, but that's not criminal. On the same note, what man is into watching other men, I think it was just men, other men sleep and have sex with the woman you're supposed to be dealing with? That's weirdo stuff. You know what I'm saying? I do know that he had a drug problem, as far as from what I understand, pills and things like that, and who knows what else. The worst thing you can do is have a drug problem and have money. That's a pretty obvious situation. If you look at some of the entertainers like your Prince, your Whitney Houstons, your Michael Jacksons, most people are not going to step in there and say, "Hey, look, man, what the hell you doing?" Or what. This is not going to happen because you got a lot of yes men and yes women that don't want to mess that bag up. So they're not going to really say a whole lot. Another problem is with the situation is, from what I understand and looking at some of the transcripts, she was requesting the freak offs and wanted to know when was the next one. So if you really are a victim and this being so-called forced, why are you asking when the next one is? You know what I'm saying? The domestic violence, unfortunately, that didn't meet the statute of limitations. That had passed, so he couldn't be charged with that as he should have been charged. This is a situation, and me personally, I think he's going to get some time. I'll be surprised if he doesn't get time. How much time he gets, I don't know. But the bottom line is, when it's all said and done, he put himself in this situation. Sometimes these entertainers lose touch of reality because you just have so many yes men and yes women around you. It was said that this dude would smack some of his assistants on the buttocks, and I'm not doubting that. I'm not doubting that. He was out of touch with reality. Now the problem is, this man has daughters, and of course he has sons too. But the daughters, man, come on, man, what kind of example you setting? With this. I mean, they see the video. They held him to make an example out of him. Should they have held him this long? In reality, no. I mean, the bottom line, he's not a flight risk. Where is he going if you take his passport? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just a situation where you're in the justice system. They're going to milk him. Well, obviously they're milking him. They're getting his money. I mean, I don't think he's broke at this point or anything like that, but it's going to be hard for him to bounce back. Then again, I don't know. It depends. A lot of times in society, people are very forgetful. What happens today can be forgotten tomorrow, depending on if a tragic event happens or something like that. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting situation. I have a lot of different topics that I'm going to be doing videos on, from the Charlie Kirk situation. What else? Metropolitan Police Department lieutenant that gave the Proud Boys tips has been sentenced to 18 months. Now, it's likely, I won't even really get into that because I'm going to stay on topic. I'm going to do separate videos for those. It's likely he will possibly be pardoned. From what I understand, and this is just what I've heard, he is possibly looking to be pardoned by Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump pardoned the 4D officers, Sabowski, and I forgot the other guy's name. I've done some checkpoints with Sabowski. Good officer, was made the lieutenant, but made some terrible decisions. It's likely that he'll be pardoned. I can't see why he wouldn't if you pardon the 4D guys. And I don't know Donald Trump's relationship with the Proud Boys, but based on what I've seen, it's not like he doesn't like them. So he may side with them and pardon this guy for the 18 months. I believe he was allowed to retire, but I'm gonna get off that because that's gonna do a separate video on that. Back to Sean Combs. It's likely that he's going to get some time. He's already served basically a year now. Time flies. He's been in there a year now. Crazy part is you got money and you can't get that time back. When you're incarcerated, you can't get that time back. I don't care how much money you got. You can have all the, from what I understand, a lot of times in prison, there's a limit on how much money you can have on your books. So I don't know how that works. I know going from a million dollar home to prison is obviously a big, big, big change. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure he's used to it now. You can get used to anything if you are, basically in that situation long enough. Of course, probably in the beginning it was traumatizing, but it's like home now. You get used to it. Another thing that's going to be a problem is, a lot of people have testified, and this is a money grab. A lot of people testified, but nobody really was forced. We all know how this goes. I've been around entertainers, and I see how it's really, you get used to it after you see it a lot, but it's just amazing what people will do and the standards they will lower themselves to be in the climate of an entertainer or so-called star. So I'm not surprised, but a lot of people were looking to get paid. So a lot of people were saying they woke up, with their butt sore and all that types of weird. I know y'all laughing right about now, but it's a lot of weirdo stuff. I mean, it's what I understand from the transcript. This man, Sean Combs, that I'm referring to, rubbed bodily fluids from another man on his chest, his nipples or whatever. That's probably the most weirdest, bizarre thing that I've heard in I don't know how long. And I've seen a lot of the Metropolitan Police Department, but that's weirdo stuff. So this dude is clearly not playing with a full day. I mean, everybody has fetishes, but that's something that just I can't even put words to that. But dude is a weirdo. I don't care how much money he got. I don't care how successful he is. At the end of the day, you can't erase that. That's like a tattoo. You can get it removed, but guess what? The scar will always be there. The scar of you rubbing another man's bodily fluids on your chest, dude, something is seriously wrong with you. You know what I'm saying? So another thing is with this situation, it's going to be a lot of course, lawsuits from a civil aspect when the burden of proof for a civil lawsuit is much easily to prove. Obviously, when they got a video of you beating the hell out of a female and assaulting her like he did, it's hard to get on the stand and say, hey, I didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? So many words. You apologized. At first he said that he hadn't done anything, and it's a lot of things that have went unnoticed. Now, my thing is, if he paid money for the hotel to give them the footage of the assault or whatever, why hasn't the hotel been held accountable for basically, in this particular situation, that's somewhat of an obstruction of justice. A crime has been committed and the hotel basically didn't report it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, obviously you are, depending on where you are mandated to report assaults, especially of a domestic violence nature. That's not something in a hotel you can just be like, okay, you go to the room and her face is split open and you be like, look, okay, this is just between y'all. We don't have anything to do with it, but can y'all keep it down? No, it doesn't work like that. You're mandated to notify the authorities and let them be guided by their decisions and their laws. But you can't just ignore it, but this is pretty much what they did. It just goes to show you money talks. Another situation in reference to him, you got so many people that are testifying in his behalf, but on the same note, it's just hard for you to have, and then, these are people that have worked with him. Of course, they're going to try to stand, but a lot of people on his behalf are not speaking out publicly. Now, a lot of people wrote letters. Now, letters is totally different from you going on camera saying, hey, look, I'm staying with him. You can stand with him today, and guess what? Your contract at a record label will be over tomorrow. So I get it, even if he is considered your friend or whatever, you have to make a smart decision when it comes to standing up for a situation like he's in. I don't personally think he's going to be not given any time. I know sometime in reference to the time he's doing now will be time served, but I do believe that the system is going to make an example out of him. Now, is he being railroaded? To a certain degree, he is. But on the same note, I tell anybody, you put yourself in the system to be railroaded. These are self-inflicted wounds. I mean, he caused this, for the most part. It's just kind of weird that this dude wanted to see other men have sex with Cassie. I mean, and listening to some of the bodyguards that work with him talking, and one of the guys said that, he told him that, hey, Cassie want to have a baby by me, but I don't want a baby, and this and that. But, and a lot of times they would be so doped up, they would have medical personnel come in and do IV bags and basically rehydrate them. Man, how you doing? Well, we know it can be done because Michael Jackson basically was being put to sleep like for a surgical procedure in his home. So money talks, and prime example, Prince. Unfortunately, I think he did some damage to his hip or something. Always all the heels, jumping off the stage and all that stuff takes its toll after you get old. But addiction is one thing that doesn't discriminate. I don't care if you're white, black. The more money you got, the worse it's going to be. Prince, unfortunately, got addicted to the Percocets. You know what I'm saying? And Sean Combs, I mean, it was known that they dealt with the drugs and all that stuff. And obviously, when you got that kind of money, you got people that's going to bring you whatever you want. It's pretty much like Uber Eats, but drugs. You know what I'm saying? You can make a phone call, and then 30 minutes or less, the drugs coming to you. I mean, and having money does not help. So I personally think that he will be getting some time. I don't know how much time. Obviously, whatever he gets is going to be appealed. But guess what? No matter whether or not you appeal it or not, you're not coming home. They're going to hold you. You know what I'm saying? Is he a flight risk? Is he violent? He's demonstrated that he's violent, obviously, because the video doesn't lie. He threw a vase at the girl. I mean, regardless, that shouldn't have happened. And the bottom line is they can't get him on that legally. Just like with the O.J. Simpson case, they couldn't charge O.J. With murder because he was found not guilty. So they found a way to get O.J. I mean, that was basically, he was railroaded. Honestly, I would have to really look into that case to really see. I didn't follow the O.J. case. I mean, I followed it when it was on, but it's a lot of weird things that happened that just from a law enforcement aspect, I can tell you that, and of course I'm a little off topic, but it's all related. The O.J. Simpson case, the police were like Keystone cops. They was just like beyond dumb. Some of the cops, I think at one time during the O.J. Simpson murder scene, the police officers left. At one time, I don't know how long it was, but at one time there was nobody on the crime scene. Now, when you have a situation like that, your case is done because that means that anything could have happened in between that time. If you're telling me for 15 minutes or for 5 minutes, nobody was present, or I thought you was watching the crime scene. Nah, or I thought you, dude, I went to get something to eat. I went to the bathroom. No, I went to the bathroom. So nobody's on the crime scene. So, I mean, it was a whole lot of mistakes. Of course, I think Mark Furman had testified that he had never used the N-word, you know what I'm saying? And come on, man. And then that came out that he had, which tarnished his credibility. I mean, regardless, although that's not related, but it basically destroys your credibility. If you lie about that, which is not criminal to use the N-word, but I mean, it's morally wrong. It's disrespectful. Depending on where you are, could possibly get you killed if you call the wrong person that. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, it's not criminal. But because he basically perjured himself, he lied about that, your credibility is done. I've seen that happen throughout law enforcement, not necessarily on purpose. Some officers have just didn't recall, and instead of saying they didn't recall, they tried to fudge it or try to wing it. You can't wing it. If you understand and the defense attorney is questioning you, trying to basically cross-examine you, which they're supposed to do, if you don't recall, say you don't recall. They can ask you the same question 1,000 ways to try to trip you up, which is what they're supposed to do. But in this particular case, I believe that he's going to do some time. I'm just going to be brutally honest. You can't get that time back. And I try to talk to these youngers out here in these streets, when I can, they don't get it. And unfortunately, in most of these youngers in the street, they don't have the resources that your Sean Combs has. A lot of times, a good attorney will sometimes require a $5,000 retainment fee. I'm being honest with you. I can't really stand the rain for that myself. And I'm pretty stable financially, but on the same note, I'm not going to put myself in a position like that unless it's a life and death situation where my daughter or somebody, one of my loved ones involved, and I have to do what I have to do. Other than that, I'm not going to do something reckless. I didn't spend 29 years with the police department to come home in retirement and do something stupid and throw my life away. Sean Combs is not 15 or 20 years old. He's of age. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is, if you get 10 years, 11 years, okay, maybe you do half of that. But the bottom line is time doesn't stop when you're in prison. You continue to age. You don't have the best health care. You know what I'm saying? I mean, obviously, his money will basically provide some of the perks, but dude, you're still going to be in prison. It's not going to be the same. You know what I'm saying? And it's unfortunate. It really is. I'm looking to see what the outcome will be like everybody else. And some people probably watch this video do not know the sentence is going to be tomorrow. I do believe he will get some time regardless of what time he's already served. It's a crazy situation, but at the end of the day, this is a self-inflicted situation. This is not something where the police stopped him and profiled him and that. Dude, you on video basically trying to kill this girl. You know what I'm saying? You kicking her like she's a football, which I mean, it's no telling what he's done behind closed doors. Now, it's my understanding a lot of times that situations have happened and he's flown doctors in, just to take care of a medical situation. When you got that kind of money and that kind of clout, you play outside of the rules. You know what I'm saying? But eventually, what always happens is you get caught up. And unfortunately, like your R. Kelly's and things like that. And just with the R. Kelly situation, that's another situation. Just like I was asking about the hotel with Sean Combs. Why wasn't the hotel held accountable for basically, obstructing the whole situation with the domestic violence? What happened with the parents, in the situation with the R. Kelly case? And you also have a situation where somebody signed a marriage certificate forged. And with somebody downtown. I mean, why were those people within the system held accountable in the court system or whoever was paid and signed that documentation? It's a lot of stuff that goes on. I think everybody should be held accountable that played a role in that. And as far as the Sean Combs situation, nobody wants to see their father go to jail. I'm sure this is, something that children have to deal with. As much money as, he has and resources, these kids still have to see their friends. They still have to be around people. You got to live with that. So even for me, if I do something embarrassing or something stupid, like hypothetically, you see periodically from time to time, police officers are charged, not just police officers, people in society, period, but using police officers as an example, are often accused of molestation, things like that. That's almost a death wish if you go to prison and you're in general population. Even if you're not in general population, as far as the child molestation, especially coming from a law enforcement aspect, they're going to try to kill you. And I won't really voice my opinion on that because it would be morally wrong. But you molest a child, things like that, I think things should happen. I won't really go into what should happen because it could be a little vulgar for some. And I try to, keep this kind of PG, PG, I'll try not to do the rated R X or really do a whole lot of curse because somebody could be watching this with their children, because I am going to do some videos geared toward young adults now that I kind of got my head out of this property and I can kind of like relax some now. But it's just a problem when you have a situation like this and this is your father and you got to walk around and deal with this BS every day, although you played no role in it. And a lot of times, obviously, he's not thinking like that. You do something like that. To him, that was normal. And he's been beating this girl for a long time. The things that happen behind closed doors obviously are much worse than what you saw on video. If he's willing to do that on video, obviously you're high out of your mind, you're impaired, something is wrong. There are cameras everywhere. And that's something else I'm going to go into as far as the cameras. The cameras are everywhere now. And you can't really do anything from a criminal aspect or morally wrong aspect. Just like it was a gentleman, I think at a event, maybe a sporting event, and he kissed a female and that wasn't his wife. He had another, guess a side piece with him. He got jammed up. You never know when the cameras are watching. You know what I'm saying? So what he's done behind closed doors, it's no telling. It's no telling. But it's a very awkward situation. It's my understanding that he gave somebody, I didn't have to take the time to read the whole transcript. From what I understand, the transcript is available for this case, but from what I understand, he gave somebody a disease. Sean Combs, it was some diseases where basically transmitted. You know what I'm saying? So obviously, when you got people you paying, I think one dude he gave $300. You would think that these guys were coming, were making some real money, but a lot of times they were just in awe to be with Cassie. And they say this guy had a mask on, or he was in the cut with a robe on, didn't want to be seen or something. Just straight weirdo. You know what I'm saying? And it's, like I said, it's been going on for a long time. It just finally caught up with him. And things like this, unfortunately, your Harvey Weinsteins and stuff like that, man, people are going to lie and come up with stuff to try to get paid. In this situation with Deshaun Combs, you got a lot of people lying. I mean, some of the stuff is obvious. Dude say he went to sleep, he woke up, his butt was sore, you know. I mean, come on now. You a whole man and you ain't wake up after you was being fondled or whatever, how you woke up sore, I need $1 million. Nah. I mean, Sean Combs would have basically, he'd have took a beat down if he even looked at me in that way. But this guy says he woke up and he woke up in a fetal position. It's some really stupid stuff on this transcript. Some of it is so far make believe. It's like Bugs Bunny. You know, it's just unreal, and it's a money grab. I get that, but on the same note, come on now. They have interviewed, I forgot how many people they interviewed, but basically none of those people that they interviewed has the justice system sustained any additional charges, you know, as far as in representing them. So basically it's a bunch of BS. You know, obviously it doesn't help his case when you got this many people coming forward, but it's going to be interesting. I'm only going to do 30-minute videos because I know sometimes, you know, you're busy. But if you're at work, it's cool to just kick back and you can put your headphones on. Hey, that's 30 minutes. You can just pass, listen to me. And again, subscribe, share. I'm not doing this for money, like I said. It's not like I got millions of subscribers. It's just basically for your information and your entertainment. If I said a bunch of stupid stuff and things like that, I probably would have a whole lot more subscribers, but that's not me. It's the old saying would say, who raised you? I was raised by both two good parents and an extended family, so I couldn't embarrass my mother or father or extended family by saying a bunch of stupid stuff. That's just not my nature. You know, I'm not going to sell my soul for money, but I'm going to go into a whole lot of different topics. I'm going to have some videos. I want to do some on the Charlie Kirk situation. I want to do some on the situation with the DC high schools. A lot of the homecomings and events have been canceled because these kids are fighting at these games in DC. I think my school, Calvin Coolidge, class 86, the homecoming was, I believe, this Saturday. That's been canceled because these guys got into a fight with the guys from Dunbar. From my understanding, both benches cleared. Now, you got a lot of young coaches. Nothing against young people because I still like to consider myself young, although I'm in my mid-50s. But the thing is, from what I understand, parents got involved in this fight. Coaches got involved in this fight, which is kind of different because in my era, we had guys like Coach Taylor. They were older, I guess, mentally, and you just couldn't picture the coaches doing anything like that. It's totally different now. I mean, I don't really get it. You know, you can't even go to a football game. I mean, back in the day, you went to the football games at night, be a lot of girls there, could just enjoy yourself. Now, people robbing, getting shot. You can't even go. I mean, you know, so from what I understand, the games have been canceled. The homecoming dance, I don't know if the homecoming dance is going down. Not that I would go there. I mean, obviously, I'm out of school, but these kids and coaches and parents have basically messed everything up for the kids that don't even play sports. They wanted to attend the homecoming event. So my thing is, stay on top of your surroundings. The holidays are coming. I'm going to do some stuff about ice and all that too. But stay on your surroundings and, you know, teach your kids to be aware of their surroundings as well. A lot of craziness going on. School shootings. It's just absolute madness. But subscribe, share, and I will be returning real soon with a lot of videos. So let's get ready for this verdict. I don't have too much as far as my personal opinion as what I would like to happen. I mean, whatever happens, happens, because the bottom line is this is a situation where Sean Combs self-inflicted this trauma that he is being exposed to. As they say, basically his past has caught up with him finally. It took a long time because he's done some stupid stuff. The guy shined, and I'm going to get ready to cut out. going on 30 minutes. The guy Shine that he got 10 years. Allegedly came to find out Shine had a gun on him that night, but was not the shooter that shot. Up that spot that they were in. Sean Combs did that. So basically, if you get 10 years, it's basically you getting the karma that you gave that man. Now, I understand he gave Shine some money, the rapper that was with him when he did the shooting, some money when he came home. But come on now. You somebody doing 10 years for something they didn't do. Hey, look, if you do 24 hours in prison for something you didn't do, that's a problem. So, look, share, subscribe. I will be back soon. I got some stuff coming. Probably do a couple of more this week. And I need to do something on Charlie Kirk. He's a controversial individual. Said a lot of off-the-wall stuff from what I saw on the sound bites. So, sometimes the sound bites are kind of cleverly done. So, sometimes they're not really saying what you think they're saying. But he has some interesting opinions on, from what I said, blacks, and his just way of thinking was just kind of weird to me. But I'm going to get into all that. He has a lot of supporters. It's unfortunate no matter what he felt towards any ethnicity, it might have been a morally bad or negative, but he didn't deserve to die regardless. You know what I'm saying? And I will tell you this before I go, and this is the last thing. The individual that did shoot Charlie Kirk actually missed. I know he killed him, but that neck shot, that's not the shot he was going for. Inside information. He was actually trying to shoot him in the head. So I don't know whether he jerked the trigger as he took that shot. Either way, he accomplished what he was trying to accomplish. He killed the man. Now, regardless of this man's feelings toward any ethnicity or how left he was considered or far right, the man didn't deserve to die. You took this man away from his kids, family. It's just a messed up situation. Look, I'm gone. I'll be back before the weekend is over. Probably do something on Charlie Kirk or some of these other incidents. Or I might do something on Sean Combs to see what's going to happen tomorrow. Let's get ready for this verdict. Later.